UFC 330, Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry is official. And guys, I'm smelling another upset. Yeah, I'm smelling it. Look, this year has been unpredictable with Gaethje just beating Ilya. A month ago, we had Sean Strickland beating Hamza Chimaev. I think the unbeatables are getting beaten in the UFC, and we have one. We have one more. You remember how LeBron said we got two more for y'all? Yeah, we still got more for y'all. We got Ian Garry versus Islam Makhachev, and guys, from all the upsets, I think this is gonna be the least shocking one because stylistically, I honestly don't really see too much of a path for Islam Makhachev to beat Ian Garry. Now, look, Islam Makhachev, he will go down as one of the greatest of his era. The reign he's on, I mean, he's reigned terror on the lightweight division, came up and dominated JDM for the welterweight belt, like a dominant champion. He's an elite grappler, and he's one of the best in the world, if not the best currently. But there are cracks that have been showing. You know, that JDM fight, he was just laying on top of him for 25 minutes on top. Couldn't really get the finish. And then we saw how JDM's career is going now, taking a beating, by the likes of Carlos Prates. So we really see how elite, how there's levels to this welterweight shit. Islam Makhachev taking the safe route, it didn't really, showcase too much, promise. In the welterweight division, So let's talk about Ian Garry for a second. I know we all know Islam Makhachev is one of the greatest. We all know his greatness. But a lot of people are underestimating Ian Garry in this fight. Ian Garry, 6'3", lanky, rangy, and he's, I think, right now entering his prime. He just beat Bilal Muhammad. And before that, he beat Carlos Prates, who's starching everyone. So he has elite competition that he's being. And before that, he went up against Shavkat Rakhmonov in a razor thin close fight. And he reversed takedowns. He nearly got Shavkat with that rear naked choke in the fifth round. And Ian Garry has 5-round experience now against elite grapplers and elite strikers. He is, I think, right now in the welterweight division, the complete package. We have Carlos Prates in the mix. We have Michael Morales. Those are primary striking guys. But if we're talking about the toughest test for Islam Makhachev, I don't think it's none other than Ian Garry currently in the welterweight division. Now, let's talk about the matchup real quick. Let's talk about why I think the matchup favors Ian Garry. It's something that a lot of people are just not touching on. I think, look, Islam Makhachev always uses his range and size to his advantage on the feet, But now that's gone because who uses range and size better than Ian Garry in the welterweight division? That is his bread and butter. Now Islam, he's a back foot striker. He's looking for counters and he's looking for the perfect moment for the takedown in his back foot typically. But nobody's better than Ian Garry within the back foot striking. He's bigger and he's rangier than Islam Makhachev, which is something Islam has never faced in his life. He's never faced someone with that frame, that athleticism, the style combination, just the striking weapon repertoire that he has. That mixed with his size is just someone that Islam has never faced. Now, we all know Islam's biggest power is his wrestling, and might I add, Ian Garry's takedown defense is elite. Bilal and Shavkat could barely. I don't think they landed any takedown. Maybe one by Shavkat, but out of I think 17 attempts combined between them, they only got one takedown, and which did nothing on the ground. I think if Islam takes him down, Gary's too big. I think Ian Garry's way too big and too good at scrambling to be held down like 5 rounds like JDM did. Now, JDM, I think, proved Islam is not going to finish a welterweight on the ground. Gary's a completely different problem on the ground than JDM. And I'll leave you with this. Islam is almost 35. I think he'll be 35 in a couple months. He's possibly, on the decline. He's going to be, coming back from like a 9-month layoff. He didn't, finish JDM, and his striking looked pretty good, but in his last 2 fights, we haven't really seen too much of his striking. Which is okay. Okay, he could do it with his wrestling, but I think he's, took the safe route in his last fight. It's not something promising I see going forward. I think Ian Garry is just going to be genuinely a genuine threat to him in the striking. And I think his takedown defense will, make him hold his own in the wrestling repertoire. So I think Ian Garry's going to win. Now, look, I'm not going to disrespect Islam and say Ian Garry's going to finish him. I have Ian Garry, winning by decision. I think this will be a close fight, but I think he has a recipe to beat him. I think this will be a 48-47 decision. And Guys, I think Ian Garry might lose the first round because I think Islam Makhachev is going to go straight to that wrestling in the first round. But I think Ian Gary is going to survive, muscle his way up, and I think the last 3 rounds, I think he absolutely uses his range and batters Islam Makhachev. I think he keeps his standing later on the rounds. He uses his range, starts stuffing them takedowns, scrambles out of danger. He's gonna, Sean Strickland Maxes. I believe in it. I don't think Islam can hold him down and finish him. And I think competitively, I think he loses this fight in a 5-round fight. Now, I'm not even gonna say. Look, I'm not even gonna say I sound crazy for this because in UFC right now we're in the current era of underdogs. We're in the current era of like there's nothing crazy you could say. It's unpredictable. But with all that being said, I think the predictable outcome is Ian Garry beating Islam Makhachev. I fully believe in this, and I have full confidence in this. It's one of the most confident picks I'll ever make. And yeah, UFC 330 is coming up in August, Philadelphia. I think it's gonna be fireworks. Comment down below what you guys think. Who do you guys have, Islam or Ian Garry? Do I sound crazy? What do you guys think? Let me know. Until next time, I'm out.